Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here. Hello, everybody, with another episode of the Snowflake Viewpoint, episode 60. And the date and time is the 24th of June 2024, 8 p.m. UK time. We are dual streaming live on YouTube and twitch.tv, just for reference. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you all had a good weekend. 10 days away today from the general election. 10 days away, guys, and then we can finally be rid of the Conservatives. But when you defeat one evil, another evil will take its place, or I know most Scots will probably say that, but a new form of evil will take place in some way, shape, or form. So the battle is never over for even after this general election, guys. The work will continue. I've got a live YouTube chat poll for you guys. There's a bit of a debate around this, so I wanted to put this to the test for you guys. What is the biggest scandal for the Tories, Partygate or the betting scandal? Some people have tried to compare this as big or as bad as the Partygate scandal, which I don't think is right. But yeah, most of you guys seem to agree with me there. That 80% of you guys think Partygate was worse than the betting scandal. 15 of you casted your vote so far there. So thank you guys for that. Ruth is here. Good to see you, Ruth. I do enjoy the gentle music. It is nice music. Yep. Mad Monk is here. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Stu Viking President is also here. Good to see you, buddy. Artibus is here as well. Good to see you. Stephen Banker is here as well. Good to see you, buddy. Ben Shaw is here. Good to see you. Alistair Keir is here. Good to see you, both, friend. Hope you're doing well. One Angry Pagan is here, looking after our badges all across the globe, as always. And Joe Lefty is here as well. Good to see you, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Everyone's saying hello to one another. So I'm not really going to cover, because it's such short notice, I'm not going to cover the interviews with Sunak and Keir Starmer from The Sun, because quite frankly, I've seen some of the clip. I've seen one or two clips, and quite frankly, I don't like that it's from them. I do have some questions about the audience that they had for it as well. So I'm like, probably not going to cover that. We might take some clips for Wednesday's Snowflake Watch maybe, but that's about it at best. So not really gonna highlight anything from that, if I'm honest. And I know I didn't watch it, and I hope you guys didn't waste your time watching it as well, because I don't think it was it's worth your time, if I'm honest, guys. I'm sure there's much better things. Oh, the gang is here, by the way. Almost forgot. Pingu, Cash Dummy, and Ollie is here. For those who are asking about the lava lamp, I am hopefully, if not tomorrow or Wednesday, I'll have to go into town to try and get it sorted. Hopefully within the next few days I can. I've just been very, very busy, understandably. Genie Bottle is here as well. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. So the first article I got for you guys is from The Guardian. I haven't really talked a lot about this, and I think it's time I talked about it. I haven't done a video on it either, so we'll talk about it today. So senior Tories are calling for a ban on political bets by MPs after the election scandal. So Ian Duncan Smith and Tobias will make case for new rules as questions waged over the £500 wager. And I think good to see you, Joe. I hope you're doing well, and Reg's there. Good to see you both. I think this is quite. I'm just like, oh no, their hands have been caught in the cookie jar. Well, we'll clamp down on it. We're gonna call for the ban on political bets. And I think it's quite. I think it's quite hilarious, really, that only after this gets exposed, now they're going to say, oh, God, this is terrible. We should put a ban on political bets. I may have put a few quid on myself, This is really... Once again, this highlights just how corrupt, really, the word corrupt, the Conservative Party are. And it shows that they just have no shame, no care for the regards of rules, no care for the well-being of others. It really does paint. Good to see you, Ruth, there. I hope you're doing well. Really, and Tom there. Good to see you guys. Hope you're both doing well. It really does just show and just shames the Conservative Party overall. I mean, it was quite crazy, actually, guys. I was actually watching a video. I think it was from Politics Joe. And they were asking in Rishi Sunak's constituency. And still, some of them thought that Rishi Sunak was an okay guy, but a terrible politician. And I was just thinking, Have you not even been paying attention to what Rishi Sunak has been saying and what he's been doing? I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. There wasn't any of them that said they were going to vote Conservative. But one of them said they were going to vote Reform. One of them said they were going to vote for Lib Dems. Many of them said they don't. Many of them said they weren't going to vote at all. I think as well. And it just goes to show that like he really does not care about the party, Sunak. It's just so outrageous and hilarious at the same time. And the thing is, right, we should be angry. We shouldn't be laughing. We shouldn't be joking about this. We should be really angry about this because the Conservatives have normalised scandals after scandal after scandal within their party. They've normalised it to a point where we expect it now. And we shouldn't be expecting this. We should be expecting better standards from our politicians, which is why so many people are so turned off by politicians, by not even voting at all, because that's just how they feel. Good to see you, Mark. Hope you're doing well. QA Library there as well. Good to see you. Political betting is such a big thing for companies, a lot bigger than horse racing. Also, most are based in Jersey and Gibraltar, so a UK law banning it will have no effect. Yeah, you can't control anything outside the UK, yeah, just to be fair. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping you giving money to your friend or something and then having them place a bet on your behalf or something. Like, there are ways of getting around it. But just in the overall picture, we've had so many scandals from the Conservatives. I mean, literally, it would not surprise me between now and the next 10 days that there's going to be at least maybe one, maybe even two more scandals before we get to the general election, before we finally see the back of Sunak and the demise of this Conservative Party. But yeah, let's read really what they've had to say here. So, senior Conservatives and campaigners are calling for a ban on political bets by MPs as the Gambling Commission was urged to look into another £500 wager connected to the growing election gambling scandal. The former Tory leader Ian Duncan Smith said parties should examine the rules when Parliament returns amid growing outrage over Tory candidates and aides alleging staking money on politics. The former Defence Minister Tobias Ells also said there should be new restrictions. There should be new restrictions, but like QA Library says, you can't deal with it outside the UK. The Conservatives have launched their own inquiry into whether politicians or officials gambled on the time of the election. Rishi Sunak was forced to deny having placed any bets himself and told reporters he was not aware of any further candidates under scrutiny. Okay, I'm going to say this now. I would not be surprised if Rishi Sunak placed a bet himself. And this thing here, this is a joke. They are going to launch this is like Israel saying that they're going to launch an inquiry into an attack or an alleged thing that they've done to Palestinians in Gaza or something in the West Bank. Oh, we will investigate ourselves and we will let you know the findings of that investigation. That's the exact same thing. It's a joke. We've been conducting our own internal inquiry. And, of course, we will act on any relevant findings or information from that and pass it on to the Gambling Commission, he said. The Gambling Commission has been urged to investigate a flurry of unusual activities around the time Sunak called the election, and industry source told The Guardian. It included a bet of £504 placed on Sunday before the election was called that Sunak would still be the Prime Minister before the 2024 election. The implementation is that the punter may have known that the election call was imminent, thus giving the Tories party no time to replace Sunak. Yeah, I mean, we still don't know. Good evening, Simon. Simon says 55. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. We still don't know. Here's the thing as well. We still don't know why Sunak called the election for real. We can speculate on it, but we still don't know for certain. There's still lots of questions about this. Public inquiry, stop them from police. I mean, yeah, could do a public inquiry. But yeah, them doing their own inquiries, it's a joke, really. Marginal odds mean that the punters stood to gain only £35 from the bet. Details of the bet have been provided by the Commission by a professional gambler. £35. That £35 could go towards making a difference between feeding a child for another day. Right, that's how bad things are right now in this country, and here they are betting on themselves and whatnot. Earlier this month, The Guardian revealed that the gambling watchdog had written to all licensed bookmakers requesting information on anyone who stood to gain more than £199 by betting on the time of the election. The scope of the investigation is understood to include bets placed against an autumn election as well as those placed on a summer one. Another gambling industry source said more junior figures may emerge as the Commission conducts background checks on the hundreds of people who placed bets on the timing of the poll in the days before Sunak announced the date. 4 Tory candidates and officials are under investigation by the Gambling Commission. Sunak's top parliamentary aide, Craig Williams, the candidate for Montgomeryshire and Ginwa. I mean, why hasn't he been suspended? The Tory candidate in Bristol West, Laura Saunders, another one. Why this? Her husband and the party's director of campaign, Tony Lee, and the chief party's data officer, Nick Melson, who has denied wrongdoing. The party's chief data officer. Wow. Yeah, you can really trust him with your data. He'll put a quid or two on it. And then a Metropolitan Police officer who was part of Sunak's close protection and security team has been arrested in connection with the inquiry. Yeah, that was just like you're a police officer. You ain't getting away with that. I say that, but we've had police officers getting away with a lot of things, sadly. Duncan Smith said the public took a dim view of politicians who gambled on politics. I'm opposed to people associated with politics betting on the political outcomes in general because they're too close to it, he said. It also looks casual if you're betting on stuff that affects people's quality of life. You can either do it by the party saying you won't be tolerated, or you could do it by legislation. If you start relying on legislation, it would be a complex process. Parties are capable of saying that anyone who doesn't do this should be in the party, or they can move quicker than governments. But one way or another, this needs to be made clear that the public takes a dim view of it, and it shouldn't happen. It's a matter for the next parliament. Yes, but are we going to get that change that we really want? Public inquiries are common in most parliamentary democracies. They are, but whether we'll get enough is yeah. QA Library just says from the Gambling Commission website, there are currently 175 active operators, online bookmakers licensed to accept bets online, but what companies based outside the UK? Yeah, there's too many. It's too. You can't control it. Yeah, to be fair. There's two ways to it. So. Elwood on BBC Radio 4's Today programme, it was comparable to the rules placed on the stock market. Let's introduce clear rules if you have in city in connection to the purchase of stock and shares. For example, let's prevent any current politician or party professional from placing any bets in the future, he said. He's understood that Labour are not planning any action or restricting political betting by its candidates or staff as long as the bets are not placed with any insider information. But here's the thing, if you're placing it before the election is called, how do you not know? Like, there's no guarantee. Like, the thing is, Sunak has denied saying Sunak has denied saying he placed the bet himself. One of the things that I read somewhere is that it's possible that Sunak's inner circle knew about the bets and didn't do anything about it, potentially, and just kind of let it go. That was also a possibility as well. But obviously, someone said something somewhere to some MPs and whatnot, and then it's kind of word to mouth, and then they decided to place bets. Speaking at a school in Kettering, Keir Starmer said, "I'm not sure we need to start changing the rules. The rules actually aren't the problem here. There's a problem with the politicians." Yeah. The moment the election was called, they didn't say, "Give me a microphone and let me make my case." They said, "Let me head down to the bookies." 100%. I know we have a lot. I know I have a mixed bag of people about Keir Starmer here, but I'm 100% bang on here. Problem, I like QA Library says, you're not going to be able to fix this with the rules. It's the politicians, and the politicians, we have too many corrupt ones. We have too many who don't give a toss about we have too many politicians who just don't give a damn about their constituencies, don't give a damn about it, and just want to get their next paycheck. And the best way to deal with these muppets is to vote them out on July the 4th. That's the best way. I think that's just pretty much it. Other senior politicians and campaigners have joined calls for bets to be restricted. Don Foster, Liberal Democrat peer and chain of peers for gambling reform, said all bettings on elections should be banned. Yeah, but you won't stop it abroad. That's the only thing. The Current rules are incredibly opaque, and this far go is a good illustration. He said, my personal view is that after the election, we should clarify the rules, saying that gambling companies should not be allowed to take bets on the outcome of or anything related to elections at any level within the UK. I don't see that happening. Will Patitucci of the Coalition Against Gambling ads said political betting should be banned along with betting on anything other than sport or horse racing. It's totally inappropriate for the gambling industry to offer a market for political betting, not least because it tempts those with inside information to try and make a few quid, but also because it normalizes the idea that we should bet on anything and everything, which is not normal. 100%. This is a great point here. We don't want to normalize certain things. But like I said, yeah, the consistency of scandals within politics normalizes it. So when we stop getting scandals from a Labour government, which is what we're predicting, people will be much better. But the slightest hint of discontent, and the right-wing media will print 10 pages of it from the Daily Mail. In the absence of the complete ban, clearly politicians and their staff should not be able to gamble on political events. We need to protect politics from people who view it as a chance to make a quick buck. And 100% agree. Yes, I do think, yeah, there is. I definitely think there could be some. It could be a review looking into it. I don't think you can ban it outright. You could do that, but I don't think that's going to fit. That's not going to fix the CSQ8 library set. But there may be some things that they could do to mitigate it. But I think what Keir Starmer hit the nail on the head there. It's not really so much about the rules; it's more about the politicians, and it shows the kind of politicians that we have running the country, and those who are working part of the Conservative government. I mean, anyone within that party, kind of those who are choosing to bet, they're choosing to do it themselves. Did they honestly think that they were going to do this? Honestly think they were going to do this and think this was going to be perfectly all right? And if they thought it was perfectly all right, how bloody stupid are you? Like, you really, really are quite thick if you thought, yeah, that you could do this and think that you weren't breaking any rules. It's just stupid. Absolutely stupid. Is it me or is that just buffering? No, don't say that. I hope that's not true. All good here, Stephen Baker says, Joe. Oh, okay. Probably you, Stephen, says Ruth. Okay, it's not just me. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks, guys, for covering that. Tom Nielsen said, bookies odds are useful gauge for which the way the winds are blowing. Yes, it's also very good, yeah, instead of just going by MRP pollings as well. That's also another thing as well. I'm sure there have been talks about introducing wolves to Scotland Pagan, but nothing yet. Ooh. Interesting. My opinion of Skarma would improve if he advocate for criminal charges to be brought after all the fraud that has happened, says Reg. I agree. I would love that to happen, but I just don't think. I just don't think so. I want that to happen, if I'm honest. Profiteering from the insider info, says Ginny Bottle. 100%. I wonder if they're betting on how badly the Tories are losing. I would not be surprised if 1 second if Conservatives were betting on themselves, not on their own party going down or how many seats that they are losing. I would not be surprised in any way, shape or form by that. But again, it just shows just how bad they are, really. It really, really does. So this next article I got for you guys is one from Sunday. And I haven't had a chance to cover it, this one. But yeah, this once again highlights the dangers that MPs and politicians are still facing, guys, every single day, and we must not forget this. So Stella Creasy sends a message to culprits who attack her Walthamstow office and circulate malicious leaflets. Labour candidate shares photos of the damage from the anti-democratic attack, which led several holes in her office glass window and door. So this is obviously completely outrageous. It's unacceptable. Luckily, it wasn't luckily, I'm going to imagine that she and nobody was in the office at the time when this was done. But it's once again, it may not. Obviously, we're about to read the article in a moment, but I hope there's not any direct threats to them. I know we still get, unfortunately, MPs still suffer, unfortunately, from abuse and whatnot online and sometimes even on the streets and whatnot. The attack was done at 3 a.m. Oh, there you go. That speaks volumes there. Thank you, QA, for that. But yeah, this is, Stella's just Like, whatever you think of her, whatever you think of her party, there is a way to talk to people. There's a way to issue your grievances, and this is not one of them. Like, verbal abuse and throwing stones at their office, you're not going to accomplish anything. You're not going to change anything. You're not going to achieve anything with this kind of violence or that kind of language. You know, we sometimes laugh and mock the Conservatives of how stupid and dumb they are and all that kind of stuff. But I never wish any of them death. I never wish any of them to be any real harm to come to them or any way, shape or form. I mean, some of you may think that way. I'm speculating there, of course. Like even Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage, like how I feel about them. Like, them having a drink thrown at them or something it's not the end of the world. It is still wrong. But if someone was to literally like assault Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage, let's just say hypothetically they were physically assaulted in that, like, I would condemn it in every way, shape or form. And we must call this out whenever people do stuff like this, and those responsible need to be apprehended and pay for their crimes, and know that, hey, you're not representing anyone. You're not changing anyone's views. All you're doing is losing your temper and showing nothing but violence. You're not going to win anybody over with this kind of actions. So I think that's why I really think this is important to highlight, guys. So a Labour candidate said she will not be intimidated after her office was attacked after malicious and false leaflets were circulating. Stella Creasy posted a picture of her attack in the office in Walthamstow, North East London, where she's fighting to keep the seat she has held since 2010 at the general election on July the 4th. A glass and a window and glass door had several holes in them, and there were cracks across the glass after the attack. Police said they believe the office was targeted between 3:10 and 3:30 a.m. on Sunday. Ms. Creasy also said malicious and false leaflets had been handed out. She wrote on social media messages: "Whoever attacked my office last night, you don't intimidate me and you don't belong in the political process. Same as those circulating malicious and false leaflets. Police are already on this to find you. We'll press the strongest penalties for such anti-democratic attacks. I know Walthamstow won't be cowed or influenced by your violence either." No, I hope they don't either. A Labour spokesperson said, "We completely condemn any intimidation attacks towards candidates of any party. It is vital for our democracy that parliamentary candidates are able to campaign freely. The Metropolitan Police confirm an investigation has been launched into criminal damage in Ms. Creasy's office." Detective Superintendent Dion Brown's, one of the senior officers responsible for police in Waltham Forest, said it is entirely unacceptable for the office of one of London's prospective parliamentary candidates to be targeted in this way. An urgent investigation underway and officers have attended the scene. We're already following up active lines of inquiry, which will include full analysis of available CCTV footage. Anyone with information should call 111 with the reference there. Ms. Creasy was a front bencher under Ed Miliband and Harry Harman when they were Labour leader and acting leader respectively. The 47-year-old has been a vocal critic of Jeremy Corbyn and said the party under his leadership was running on empty. I hope that is nothing to do with it. I really hope not. I understand how people feel about a certain section of the Labour Party being purged. With the so-called left of the purge, shall we say? I don't like some of that either. But I hope that's not the reason why the person did what they did, whether it's a he or she. Ms. Creasy received numerous rape threats and other misogynistic messages on her Twitter timeline in 2013 after supporting feminist campaigner Caroline Quiroga-Perez, who lobbied for the Bank of England to put a woman on the £10 note. Last year, Ms. Creasy revealed she had been investigated by her local council after a man using her alias complained her extreme views would damage her children and should be removed from her. The complaint was dismissed and the man, who had no personal connection to Ms. Creasy or her children, apologised. There's a list there for those for the candidates who are standing in her constituency if anybody is interested. Not that I'm really too interested in her constituency. I'm just more concerned about her well-being, as I do with any other MPs or any candidates who are running in this election, regardless of how you may feel about them. We should always, whenever these kind of things happen, that we should call them out and shout them down, regardless, no matter what your political colors are, whatever your differences about politicians. I always say this, guys, never sink to their level. I understand how people feel about certain politicians. I honestly do. And I would like nothing more than some of these politicians to be locked up behind bars, for some of their crimes that they have done, guys. I absolutely would. But violence is not the answer, and making threats and whatnot towards them is not going to solve this issue either. You're not helping anyone. And I know the vast majority here in the live chat are with me on that. So I thought wolves were already introduced to the Wolverhampton area, says Genie Bottle. When a Crow Act came in Scotland, the guy who owns most of Doinart wanted to release wolves to deter walkers from this land, says Reg. Y'all talking about wolves. Compared to other countries, our MPs are very accessible and open, and attacks are very rare. That is true. That is true. But obviously, that is true, QA. But since obviously there was that attack, wasn't there, from was it the Slovakian Prime Minister, I think it was, who was attacked, and then there was a woman who was assaulted, and she was quite a high level politician. I think she was from Slovenia. I know that wasn't too long ago in Europe as well. So it does raise unnecessary tension, not just in Europe, but obviously here as well, about, protecting the well-being of our politicians. I know how people feel about them, but, there's a line, and we know that that line should not be crossed, guys. Figo was badly attacked. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, was it? Yeah, yeah, I think, was it Figo was his name? Yeah, Figo. Yeah, he was badly attacked, wasn't he? He was in the hospital. I don't know what his current condition is. I don't know what his current last condition was, if I'm honest, guys. So, guys, just before we go to the next article, can I just ask you all, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Be greatly appreciated. Share across social media so others are notified of this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. We're over 1,500 subscribers. Woo! So we are at the halfway point to my new target at the end of the year, which is 2,000 subscribers. So if we can get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, that would be absolutely great. Yeah, I still expect him to still be in hospital after that. Yeah, absolutely. I hope he makes a full recovery, in all seriousness. I don't think he will. I don't know if he will, but I hope he gets a full recovery, in all seriousness. Hello from glorious Cardiff, isn't it? Says Phil McCracken. Hello, Phil. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a lovely time in Cardiff down there. I will be heading to Cardiff, actually, in a few months' time, believe it or not. There's a big wrestling show that's going to be taking place there, which I'm going to. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but yes, we're 1,500 subscribers. I'm going off track again. I'd like to, obviously, after our last target of hitting 1,000 subscribers earlier this month, obviously 2,000 I think is a realistic target. So we're obviously more than halfway into the year. So if we can get 2,000, it'd be great. Another target that I want to reach is 200 YouTube members. We're currently roughly around between 80 and 90 YouTube members, guys. So if you want to financially support me in any way, shape or form, because it really does help support the channel, contributes to the work that I do, not just on this channel, but on Rumble, on Patreon, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Facebook, all the platforms that I provide the content on, you guys, as well as the live streams, which I don't monetize. These live streams are not monetized, so I could swear non-stop if you guys really wanted me to. You get access to custom emojis on whichever level you are on, and whenever you comment on any of my videos as a YouTube member, regardless whatever video you watch and you want to leave a comment, you want to ask me something on that, I will respond, because you are a YouTube member, and I really do value those who financially support me, whether it's 99p or $2.99. Thank you guys who do that. I really do appreciate it. But of course, if you're $2.99 members, you get early access to additional content, which I know some of you guys saw came up today for the YouTube members as well. And every now and then I'll drop some additional membership posts for you guys as well. So let's get those plugs out the way. So thanks everybody all for that. Let's move on. This one is this one from the Independent. We'll be talking a little bit more in another piece in the Mo. But the IFS accused Reform and the Greens of poisoning the debate as parties refuse to face up to the painful economic choices. So the think tank hits out at unattainable claims, which runs into the billions as it accuses Labour and the Conservatives of making essentially unfunded NHS pledges and predicts these tax rises. So in this piece, guys, so they hit out the IFS. Obviously, we know that they've hit out at the Conservatives because theirs is pointless. We know that they've hit out at Labour because Labour have not been offering enough. We know that they've hit out at... I don't know what they've said about... I don't know what they've said about Lib Dems policies, if I'm honest. But they've also hit out... But it looks like here they've hit out the Reform and Green Party here as well. IFS is pro-austerity, screams one angry pagan in the chat here. Well, listen, it's a think tank. Like I say with polls, take them all with a pinch of salt. It's very important, guys. It's very important to take them all with a pinch of salt. But while I'm losing my trade of thought, obviously. There was obviously one or two analysis out there, like the Institute for Physical Studies. Well, obviously, there were questions about some of the Green Party's numbers. But obviously, when we covered the manifesto of Reform, the contract with Reform, obviously that had question marks as well. So, and I think obviously, I do think we do need to take these on board, even with a pinch of salt anyway, because some of these sometimes have a bit more knowledge to me. A pinch of salt on your chips, says Stu. I haven't got any chips here, unfortunately. I had some yesterday, but I haven't had any today, I'm afraid. So a leading think tank has accused Labour and the Conservatives of a damaging conspiracy of science as it warns voters tax rises are likely in the next 5 years. Tax rises are coming. We all know tax rises are coming. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry if you see lots of adverts. That's how the Independent works now. They used to do less adverts, but they're doing more. So I'm sorry about that. But we know tax rises are coming. It's just a case of where they're going to come. And there have been one or two stories I've covered or I've seen where Labour may introduce some kind of taxes on the rich, but they won't be very obvious and very clear. So they may do some of them potentially as well. So I think that's really important. I say the word may. And it also may remove the two-child benefit cap when they're in power as well. There's that story as well. But again, we have to take those stories with a pinch of salt because that's not what they promised in the manifestos. The highly respected Institute for Physical Studies, the IFS, slammed the manifestos of both main parties, saying they have left voters guessing and forced to cast their votes in a knowledge vacuum. No, I don't think so. I don't agree with that. What I do agree with is that people are fed up of politics. I don't think it's left voters guessing. I just think voters just feel like there's no hope. Lots of voters don't feel a sense of optimism from Labour. The Labour's manifesto, their word is change, isn't it? It's not hope. It's not we will change and make everything better. Like, I know everything their manifesto is about building foundations and starting from the ground up, like renew and everything. But some people are not thinking like that. Some people are just thinking, where is my hope? Where is the offer? I want everything now. But because some people obviously have that premise that they want everything right now on their plate. But, people are impatient, unfortunately. The IFS have also accused Nigel Farage's Reform Party and the Greens of poisoning the debate around the painful economic decisions ahead with what it describes as unattainable pledges on tax. The next government faces a stark contrast between making tax rises and beyond what they promised in their manifestos, cutting spending or increasing borrowing, it warned. Paul Johnson, director of Institute of Physical Studies, said it would be a considerable surprise if no other taxes are increasing in the next 5 years. Taxes are coming. We know they're going to come. It's just a case of where. As Johnson said, none of the main parties were facing up to difficult choices ahead. I don't accept this premise that the Greens aren't aware of the... I don't accept this premise. I do think the parties are aware of it. They're just scared of how the public will react to certain decisions that they're going to make that's going to upset people. I think that's just what it is. I think people are just going to get upset. But the thing is, in politics, it doesn't really, whatever political party, whatever you are, you're going to upset someone somewhere. And you cannot please everyone. Even here, I know obviously, no matter what Labour does, they're not going to win over they're not going to win over some viewers here in this chat, for example. Like some people are enshrined into their own beliefs. Into their own beliefs. Some people, like reform, for example. Like, you can tell them as much as you want that, like, voting for reform is really, really bad for you. They're not seeking your own interests, but they'll buy into what Nigel Farage is saying because they think he's a good guy and he's a nice chap that talks down to the pub and has a pint of beer with them and all that. And it's just like, yeah. So, regardless of who will take office, they will face a stark choice: raise taxes by more than they have told us in their manifesto, or implement cuts to some areas of spending, or break their physical rules and allow debt to rise for longer. I think they should just allow if I'm personally honest, I think they should just let the debt rise for a bit longer. Like debt is always going to be a problem. But right now, like, we don't have a working economy. So spend some goddamn cash. Like, spend some money, like, on public services, our NHS. Let's get some things working. And then, yeah, like, when things are working, then start talking about how you can better manage the money. What is this trimilla? What will they choose? I don't know. The manifesto did not give us a clue. Mr. Johnson also accused Labour and the Conservatives of making essentially unfunded commitments to improve the NHS. The IFS warned several public services are at risk of suffering sharp cuts under either future Labour or Conservative government. I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I really don't think the Labour government is going to cut public services. They know how cut to the bone they are. I generally do not believe that a Labour government is going to do that. I could be wrong, but I generally don't believe that, guys. Broadly, the IFS said the priorities of each party do not tell us anything about the overall spending on each public service. That's true. On the NHS, Mr. Johnson said most... Fucking adverts. Mr. Johnson said both main parties were wanting to cut hospital times, implementing that NHS England's workforce plan, building more hospitals and expanding mental health services. Labour have talked about expanding the mental health service numerous times, so I'm quietly confident in that. But he added that these fully costed manifestos appear to imply all these can be delivered for free. It can't. No, nobody's saying that. You can't pledge to end all waits of more than 18 weeks. No, that's Reform Party who are making those pledges. And we know that reform can't be taken seriously anyway. Allocate no money to that pledge and then claim to have a fully costed manifesto. He went on that he would either party deal with the backlogs in the court systems, overflowing prison crisis, and funding the higher and further education, social care, local government. We have not a clue. So he also hit out Reform and the Greens for tax claims he said made offerings from other parties look feasible in comparison. Their pledges was helping to poison the entire political debate, he said. I call that fucking bullshit, especially on the Greens. I mean, like okay, you could say maybe Reform probably are poisoning it, but come on, like, that's just bang out of order. That's that point there. The IFS said Reform had proposed £90 billion of specific tax cuts and £50 billion of spending increase, paid for by a £150 billion package of measures, which includes substantial unspecific cuts in welfare and government waste. We know this is nonsense. You cannot find £150 billion in cuts in welfare and government waste. You can't find that. There's no way. You might find a few couple million behind the back of a sofa with these cuts, but you're not going to find 150 billion. Like, no one is expecting 150. That is just nonsense. Absolute nonsense. No party can alter their manifestos or do anything that isn't either. They don't have a mandate for it. People thinking Labour will change when in power are delusional. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? But we have to also remember that manifesto pledges have been broken. The Lib Dems have broken their past manifesto pledges. The Conservatives have obviously broken their past manifesto pledges. You know, where was that renters reform bill that went through from the Conservatives in 2019? They never kept to that, did they? You know, and then the intuition fees from the Lib Dems from back in 2010, they never kept to that either. So should we expect them to keep everything to word to mouth? No, cool. I don't think we can. Hello, number 3. Good to see you, buddy. Mr. Johnson compared Mr. Farage to former Prime Minister Liz Truss. Exactly. 100%. This is exactly what I was feeling like, yeah, when reading that contract. As he said, if they want a smaller state, preferably reasonable ambition, they should tell us how they will achieve it. We saw the consequences of the massive tax cuts on no detail how it would be paid for in September 2020. They claimed the party could eliminate NHS waiting costs of around £17 billion a year, which is also demonstrably wrong, he said. He also said large tax cuts will cost even more than stated by a margin of tens of billions of pounds per year. The Greens want an additional £80 billion a year borrowing, which was said would have unpleasant consequences. Their biggest proposal, a £90 billion a year carbon tax, would incentivise a faster transition to net zero, would have far-reaching economic implications, including making the cost of many essentials more expensive. Okay, so there's going to be some. There's going to be like with the thing is like I look at some of the Greens manifesto, like a bit it's very ambitious, like Jeremy Corbyn's one. I wonder. It doesn't matter who you vote for; the government always wins. Well, it's whoever wins, the political party becomes the government. Mark, but yeah. I mean, it's not like it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, it does. Yeah, well, yeah, we have a crap voting system anyway. But on the Greens thing, like I do think there is one or two number cost crunches that aren't exactly raised, but theirs is a lot more simplified than reforms, that's for sure. And probably most of the money raised would need to be used to mitigate those efforts and to support those on lower incomes, not to fund other things. In that case, any effective carbon tax would reduce the amount of carbon-based activities and hence eventually raise a lot less, Mr. Johnson said. Asked about the IMF analysis, Rishi Sunak said, I don't agree with that. We have a fully costed manifesto which can deliver tax cuts for people at every stage of their lives, and it's largely funded by making sure that we can find some savings in the growth of the welfare budget because it's been growing at an unsustainable level since the pandemic. We set out a very clear plan to reform that to support people in work, and in fact the IFS acknowledged that the last time around they said that wasn't possible and that it was actually delivered. And that's something that the IFS themselves have said. I'm going to say that's bullshit. Just going to say that. Asked whether Mr. Johnson was wrong, Labour leader Keir Starmer said, I don't accept the economic forecasts that say we can't do better than this. The economy is flatlined for 14 years. It's exactly what we are wanting to change. That's why we set out our plans for our growth in our manifesto. Don't say too much here about what a lot here about on the green thing, but like I said, yeah, you know, pinch of salt from the IFS. It is a think tank, but it is one of the bigger think tanks out there. But like reform, like I don't think you can. Like I said, you can't take reform too seriously. To be fair, because they can kind of say them and the Greens can kind of say whatever they want because they know they're not going to get into power anyway. But the case is obviously remembering these manifestos and what they've actually said in the past and whether they're going to change them in the future. But I do. One of the things that definitely needs to be dealt with is the cost of living crisis, the equality of people's improving people's lives is a major issue and needs to be dealt with. We have far too many people in poverty, in destitute poverty, people who just simply cannot afford to buy essential needs. And this needs to be addressed. This fundamental thing needs to be addressed. And there's not really a clear plan on how that's going to be addressed, unfortunately. And sadly, to fix it takes time when the question is, are the British public prepared to be patient enough? And are they going to be able to, is a Labour government, if we're expecting a majority Labour government, which I think many of us are in agreement is probably going to happen, are they going to be able to do enough within their first term? I think that's another question as well. Exactly, no plan. Sunak says there's a plan, but we still don't know what that plan is. Just asking as well in the live YouTube chat bar, what is the biggest scandal for the Tories, Partygate or the betting scandal? 24 of you cast your vote saying 83% think it's Partygate, 17% think it's the betting scandal. Thank you guys for casting your votes on that, much appreciated. So guys, we're going to take a little breaky from this from the show. Got a couple more articles to go through. The gang is still here. Just a reminder as well, I will be covering the SNP manifesto on Thursday, 8 p.m. So for all my Scottish friends who definitely want to see me cover that, be sure to clear your diaries for Thursday night if you guys want to hear that. The only reason why it may not happen, it depends on how my voice does on Thursday, when I'm looking to do a live stream on 12 o'clock that day as well, because we'll be looking back on the BBC debate between Sunak and Starmer, which will take place the day before, because obviously I do want to cover the BBC debate between Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, which I think is really, really important as well. But you can always check the homepage and look at where the scheduled live streams are, guys, as well on that. So here's a funny video, guys, just to break a little things up. This is from Nerdine Skinner Comedy. I hope you guys enjoy this. Called Have I Got Views for You?
Oh, hi, it's me, Naveen Boris, and welcome to my brand new show, Have I Got Views for You? And I do. I'm here to talk all things general election, because it's about time we had some impartial opinions on this absolute shit show of a campaign. I'm here to tell you how I feel, because I know that you all want to hear it. And I will be joined by some absolute amazing guests to ensure that we have some balanced views. Now, first things first, the Conservatives are and no, I'm not going to be supporting them now, and that's because Rishi didn't give me a peerage. I mean, how simple would it have been just to give me a peerage, Rishi? I mean, you have messed with the wrong person. Do you know what? I'm not even sure if I'm going to vote, because for me, it's the Conservatives or nothing, and I'd rather vote for the gravel on the floor at this moment. Do you know what? He couldn't even stay for the D-Day event. I mean, that is disgusting. I've worked really hard for my constituency on one occasion. What do you think, Liv?
Look, I went too hard, too fast, like a one-night stand. I could have just stuck to missionary like boring Rishi, but look where that got him. At least I'm interesting. Now lovely Farage has come along with the whole Kama Sutra and he's going full bazooka on the government, and people are loving it like they love me. Bring on reform. I'm defecting.
Oh wow, what a debate. Now, on the subject of who's going to get into power, blah, 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 you just need to face hard, cold facts. It's all the cabal's doing. It's Dr. No. He's pulling the strings of this country. And that's not even a conspiracy. You can read all about it in my new book, The Plot, out now. What do you think, Liv?
Woke up, people, and read my book. 10 years to save the...
Moving on. Now, let's not even start on Keir Starmer. He's no Teflon Tony Blair. There's only one man who should be controlling me. Boris Johnson. But he won't come back. Why would a man who won everything come back to a sinking ship? He's a winner. Now, in the interest of fairness, what do you think to that, Daisy Cooper?
I just want to say it's really great to be here, Naveen. And I think, Ed Davey is a really honourable leader, and he is ready to take the health service to the next...
Boring. Carla Denyer.
What we need to do, Naveen, is we need to learn from Boris's mistakes, and we need to protect the environment.
Oh, shut up. What do you think, Boris?
Oh, look, I'm in bed, Nads. Stop bringing your film crew round while I'm sleeping.
I'll be there in 5.
Oh, ruddy hell.
Now, before I go, predictions with Nads. Farage. No, I like him, but he has got a game plan. He will be the leader of the Conservatives. Labour will get in, but then Farage will make a big splash in the Channel, and eventually he'll be leading the country. And then I'll be able to convince him to give me a peerage. What's that? We've got a guest that we haven't heard from yet. Oh, fine. Angela Rayner, what's your opinion on all this?
Look,
that's all we've got time for. Bye.
Oh God, I'm so glad that we don't see Nadine Dorries anymore. I loved her dress up, get up for Daisy Cooper and Carla Denver. That was brilliant. I thought that was brilliant. That was really good there. Make sure you check out Nadine Skinner's comedy. Link for the funny videos down below. She does great impressions. Really, really good stuff, guys. I hope you guys enjoy that. Yeah, I wish you didn't. I wish you didn't say that about potentially um her and Nigel Farage. That's too much information for us, guys. Too much information. And thank you again, Darren, for the £5 super chat. I will keep it up, my friend. I will keep it up. Yeah, guys. Any super chats, any gifted memberships is greatly appreciated, guys. Because remember, I don't make any money off these live streams. They're not monetized, so I could say whatever I want if I wanted to, within reason, of course. Within reason, of course. So, moving on, guys. This one's from the BBC. Now, I haven't watched the interview yet, but I will be watching it. I'm going to try and watch it tonight because I do want to read this interview from the BBC. So, the Greens' tax rises are modest, insists its co-leader. So, Adrian Ramsey had his interview with Nick Robinson. Obviously, I haven't watched it right now, but I'm going to be watching it after this live stream, guys, because I do want to hear what he has to say. But I really think this. I do think, yeah, that what the Greens are offering is pretty solid and probably the most realistic, most sound plan of what they are. I mean, a lot of it can feel a bit radical, and I think, yeah, that's since they've come to fruition from decades ago, they have really been speaking and really taking in on board what local people are saying in areas. The maximum seats that they could potentially get is 4. We don't expect them to get more than that. However, 4 seats could turn into 10 seats, could turn into bigger than that. If this general election could be a springboard for them, if they get 4 seats at this general election, I think it could be a real springboard for this party to start not just having a voice in Parliament, but to really. It will kind of ram up their notice in mainstream media if it really goes well for them. But let's just read a little bit of what he had to say from it. So the co-leader of the Greens has defended the scale of his party's tax plans, calling them fairly modest by European standards. So he told the BBC that the extra £172 billion per year that his party would raise by 2030 was needed for public services and lowering carbon emissions. Here's the key thing, yeah, and we've always read that the IFS have accused the party of wholly unattainable promises to voters. But Mr Ramsey said his party's proposal would take the UK closer to where the average European country is. In an interview with BBC's Nick Robertson, he said the Greens were the only party being honest about the needs for additional revenue. It is Labour and the Conservatives, he added, that are way out of step with what other countries are doing. Both parties plan to keep tax rates frozen until 2028, dragging more people into higher bands as wages rise. But amid the backdrop of the rise in debt, the UK's overall tax levels rising to a post-war high in the wake of COVID, they have been otherwise reluctant to propose large-scale tax increases. By contrast, the Green Party of England and Wales says it wants to raise an additional £172 billion in tax annually by the end of the decade to fund extra investment in public service, particularly in the NHS. It also says it would increase government borrowing by around £80 billion a year and spend an extra £90 billion on long-term investment aimed decarbonising the economy, health and education and social housing. Key to the party's plans is proposed on new tax and carbon emissions generated by domestic fossil fuel extraction and imports, which it estimate will raise an extra £91 billion a year by the end of the decade. This is the one I like, although I was being a bit greedy saying I would like it to be a bit more. They also want to introduce a 1% wealth tax on assets worth over £10 million and 2% on assets worth more than £1 billion and raise national insurance on the annual wage above $50,270. This one, obviously, many people have questions about this, and I understand the questions around that. I really do. The IFS think tank has previously said that also some measures would target the wealthy. The efforts of the package will be much broader. In the analysis of the manifesto on Monday, it added that the Greens' tax and spending plans along with Reform UK are offering much bigger numbers than the main parties. But the way they suggest that they have radical ideas, can they realistically make a positive difference when in fact that what they propose is wholly unattainable, helps to poison the entire political debate? No, I don't agree with that assessment. Pressed on with the comments, Mr Ramsey said other economics also had said praise the Greens for offering a different... Guys, can you just give me 1 second? I need to check something. Yeah, bear with me. Sorry, guys. Can you just give me 1 sec? Guys, my apologies about this. And I knocked over the orb as well. And I've lost my screen as well. This is not very good. Because she had me... Because she was panicking out there, and I don't know what she was panicking about. But I know what it is now. And I've lost my other screen, which is really bad. Sugar. Well, this has just thrown everything into us. Sorry about this, guys. You're going to have to bear with me. This out. Oh dear. Sorry about all this, guys. I really apologise. Right. Where was I? Green Party. So for some reason 55 Tufton Street have stopped running adverts in my area again. They've given up or they've run out of money or both. The speech of the Greens is very similar to the speech of most countries in the EU, taxes for services. The cat is having a party. It's not the cat. It's not the cat, it's something else. Something personal, sorry guys. And then my monitor here decided to turn off and not turn back on straight away. So the Green Party is the only party being honest in this election that says, actually, by European standards, we can make fairer, modest tax changes to the tax system, asking those with the broadest shoulders to pay more, modestly more. In 2022, the most recent year for international comparisons, the amount of tax raised by the UK is proportional to the size of the economy was 35.3%. According to the Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, this is the highest in some European countries such as Poland, 35.2%, Hungary, 33.2%, and Ireland, 20.9%, the lowest in Europe. But it's still lower than other countries, including Germany, Italy, Austria, and France. The efforts of the Green Pan, however, would ultimately depend on how much revenue they raise, effect on economy growth. And obviously, it would be available on the... available on there. Yeah, sorry, that's just what's just happened outside. Just really put me off on this, guys. So I do apologize. Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. Like, I understand that the Greens are not perfect and they have their problems. Yeah, so I know it's problematic, these things. There we go. Back again. Apologies. Thank you, Alistair here, for the 10 gifted membership. John Pritt said bot. There's no bot here, I'm afraid. No, sorry. Good. He's gifted 10 gifted memberships to Gary Arnold, Suzanne, Mesco, Rebecca Green, Vertico, Matthew Reed, Nature's Admirizer, Spamfish, Matilda Pasco, and Hudrick 1949. Thank you again, my friend, yeah, for the 10 gifted memberships. Again, I do apologise for the roughness there about that. I'm probably just going to do one more article and call it a night. I was going to do 2 more, but I'm probably going to leave it just because of what's going on here. So I do apologise again, guys. Yeah, just on the last one, obviously, like, in my opinion, like, if you have a chance to vote, if you're in an area that has the Greens have a good chance of voting, I would say vote for them. Obviously, I would encourage you to vote for them, but I would say, obviously, at the same time, it is your choice who you want to vote for at the end of the day. But I do think the Greens do serve everyone's best interests in total, if I'm absolutely honest there. But everyone is each to their own, I would say, on that. Absolutely sweating buckets right now because of the temperature, guys. Right, so next one I've got for you guys. This one is from Open Democracy, and it really does hit home. This is something that we're not really talking about, and I think it's another group of people that really need to have their voice heard. And it's from Open Democracy that the UK doesn't work for the disabled people, and neither party will change that. So it says, so far we've heard more about Starmer and Sunak's parents than the 16 million disabled people. Now, if there's issues, regularly, just one more segment then. Yeah, I'm probably going to just do this last segment. I'm going to probably drop the Byline Times one, guys, just because of what was going on there, because it really, understandably, has thrown me off, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, 60 million disabled people, obviously, like, their concerns, their well-beings, I think that's a very important point to highlight here. So Larry the Cat, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. You know, we've talked, obviously, about how the LGBTQ communities and how their concerns are not being raised as well. That's another community. And there's many other communities out there, many groups of people who are not having their voices heard out there. And I think that's really important to remember as well. Trans groups, how much of their voices are being looked after as well. To be fair, I think there is one or two things in certain manifestos where they're looking not to change too much as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. No worries, Ben Shaw. Thanks for popping in. I much appreciate it. But yeah, I think the disabled obviously is a concern here. So let's read what this piece has to say here. So this selection is about who our country works for. The patriotic belief that Britain can be better and must be better, said Keir Starmer, concluding his first leaders' debate earlier this month. And there are at least 16 million disabled people in the UK. We make up a quarter of the population. We know this country doesn't work for us. We know that our entire lives we disproportionately live in poverty, achieve poorer outcomes in education, and are more likely to be unemployed or earn less. Yet every leadership debate so far has given more time to talking about Starmer and Rishi Sunak's parents than these problems, which face millions of disabled people up and down the country. The general election campaign has solidified that neither the Labour leader nor his rival, incumbent Conservative Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, has any interest in improving our lives. It is not as if I want to make this clear. Open Democracy are very, very anti-Labour. They come across very anti-Labour. I think that's very important. I just want to highlight that. Like, I've never read an article from them where they've actually said that what Labour are doing are good in any way, shape or form. They're very anti-Labour. So I want to just put that caveat when it comes to reading from Open Democracy. And that's another reason why I haven't covered much from them for quite a while as well. Because I do think they are very, very anti-Labour. Not as if the Conservatives or Labour know anything about the issues we face. A United Nations report published in April confirmed that the UK It turned red. If it turns red, I know. Apologies, guys. I'm going to read that again. I don't know why it's doing that. I blame the orb behind me. Right, I'm going to read that again, guys, yeah? It should be back on. I can see it here. So, it's not as if the Conservatives nor Labour know about the issues we face. A United Nations report published in April confirmed that the UK is violating our human rights. A parliamentary committee last month found that disabled people undeniably encounter unnecessary and severe barriers to accessing suitable housing in England, and the Department of Working Pensions is under investigation by the Equality and Human Rights Commission over its treatment of disabled claimants. Yeah, so before I somehow muted myself there. Yeah, it does. It has its own mind. This microphone there. I'm not sure if I covered this on the channel before or on the video before, or maybe even a premiere. But yeah, UN did obviously slam the care and the well-being that we're giving our disabled people in the UK, and I'm glad this has been highlighted here. And I generally hope that that Labour will respond to this in some way. But I don't know what that means to Larry the Cat, but okay. But yeah, we have some really, really crap homes. Some of the conditions that some human people are in are really inexcusable and unacceptable, which is why they've got to get on top of the affordable housing. We need more social housing, more council houses, not just any willy-nilly houses from private sector. Like, the government's got to put its hand in its pocket. We also need to, it's not just about building new homes, but it's about redoing the homes that we have in many places of our country, and forcing those who have the money and like renters and landlords to be able to rebuild some of these homes that they're renting out and whatnot as well. And I think that's a really important point to highlight. Disabled people in the UK are not a homogeneous group. Some of us experience greater injustice than others, but we also have many things in common. We all want to live in an inclusive society where everyone has a fulfilling life and feels connected and valued. We know politicians do not place the same worth on our lives as others. Every day we experience discrimination, oppression, and barriers to our inclusion and full participation in society because we won't take the actions needed to change it. Years of deep cuts to the service and neglect means social infrastructure such as housing, transport, and street environment consistently fails to meet our needs, and the structural decline has coincided with anti-migrant, anti-trans, and racist policies, leaving ever-increasing number of us in poverty, homeless, incarcerated, or dead. I think nobody can argue that that the power of the media, the misinformation, disinformation campaign, turning as rather than us to attack the rich and the wealthy and the powerful, to turn people against each other, to point fingers elsewhere when it comes to migration for their issues, or blaming trans for their issues, or blaming anywhere but pointing at those who are actually responsible for causing a lot of damage to us, while they continue to milk the country for every single penny that it's got to enrich themselves. And I think this is a fundamental problem with our society. Hence, the need for media reform is one of the most important things I think needs to be done in this country, because if we don't, it's just going to get worse. UN report was clear. There's been no significant progress for disabled people throughout the UK concerning their rights to living independently and being concluded in the community. While some reforms and policy have been undertaken to provide financial support, accessible housing and transport has been inadequate considering the cost of living crisis. One would expect this damning conclusion to be featured of the election campaign, but over the past 4 weeks, Labour and the Tories have both failed to provide anything of substance to help disabled people. Sunak's Conservatives instead pledged to shave £12 billion a year from the cost of benefits, much of which came from a crackdown on the personal independence payments given to people with extra care or mobility needs. The party seeks to tighten the work capabilities assessment, which would see more disabled people declared fit to work and deny their benefits. Labour's manifesto, meanwhile, notably for what it lacks, previous promises to overhaul the welfare system, end punishment sanctions, and co-product disability-related poverty, where people are missing, as are commitments to end the care charges, increase carers' allowance, and ensure better provisions for accessible housing. Labour vows to improve special education needs provisions in schools and introduce changes to support disabled people to gain and retain jobs, sticking plasters at best. This is something I'm very happy to hear about. Manifesto, sorry, I'm going to skip some of this, guys, because I've covered a lot of this in their manifesto already. With little real change to offer, disabled people must unite and fight back. We can draw inspiration from experience of UK-based disabled activists and racial disabled residents of the past 4 years. No change affects us of how we come through the collective struggles and organising. And as part of the DPO forum in England, a collective of disabled people organisations worldwide, we are committed to joining forces nationwide and unifying demands. That's why we came together to create Disabled People's Manifesto, which contains radical policy demands for system overhaul and transformation. Might have a look at that later. We as disabled people must now come together and demand that our politicians take up the manifesto and commit to creating a country that values equality, dignity, respect, trust and support as much as we value anything else. Our political system should be focusing on supporting disabled people to live the lives that we have the rights to, with no candidates sweating under the bright studio lights that can deliver on their own. Together we can create space for ourselves and ideas, integrate the energy, dedication and skills to our community to create a new future. Oh, what is this? It's from the big issue. Disabled people has just got off. What is this? Is supposed to be it? Well, it's clearly not it then, is it? Well, I will say obviously that hi Casper, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. 22 degrees right now, just a wind breeze. Yeah, it's baking in here. Sorry. I absolutely agree that more needs to be done for disabled people. Who do I think is better fit for this, the Conservatives or Labour? Labour. Are they promising everything that needs to be done? No, of course not. Are they promising better than what the Conservatives have been offering us for the last 14 years? Yes. Are we guaranteed that our lives are going to be better off in the next? Are our lives going to be better in the next 5 years? Only time will tell. I want to say yes, but I honestly don't know. I do think that we do need to. There's a lot of things. Obviously, there's a lot of issues in the UK that needs to be addressed and needs to be tackled head on. And disabled people is another one. And this is an opinion piece, of course. But yes, 16 million disabled people in the UK. Some of them have not been ignored, been completely ignored. And we also know that we've had some disabled people in some of the most horrible and most terrible conditions as well. And their issues need to be addressed, not just all the way down from local issues as well. Yeah, more needs to be done, and obviously to protect their well-beings, you guys. Thanks for popping by, Mad Monk. Much appreciate it. Take care as always. Thanks for moderating as always. I appreciate it. So, guys, I'm going to leave the other. Video just because of how crazy things have been. But I'm not going to leave just yet, guys. I am going to play one last funny video for you guys. Now, this is 5 minutes long. However, this is from Larry and Paul, and it is a very long edition piece of broken news. And I think it's going to be quite a hilarious one here. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I've already listened to it already, but it's quite hilarious to this one, to say the least. So I hope you guys enjoy this.
Welcome to Broken News. News outlets across the UK have been criticised for not providing enough coverage of the royal family. Fans of the monarchy say broadcast schedules, newspapers and websites are being unnecessarily filled with gossip about climate change and fluff pieces about Israel-Palestine. Our reporter has more.
Thank you. Yes, it's normally the reserve of conspiracy theorists, but Broken News agrees that there are serious questions over why the mainstream media is giving so little coverage to the royal family. Before going on air, I had a quick check. There were only 16 concurrent top stories on the BBC website, wall-to-wall coverage on Sky News, and a 24-hour cartoon documentary on GB News called King is Good, Nice White Man, Aren't Brown People Smelly? But it's clear that that amount of airtime is insufficient when you consider the importance of the monarchy. Broken News put these concerns to the BBC, which defended itself by crying, dribbling and pointing to its website, which currently only features the stories King Charles postpones public duties with a dedicated iPlayer feed, What is a King? An explainer by Ros Atkins, a detailed timeline of recent royal events going back to 1066 AD, Queen Camilla postpones public duties, a front page story, Princess Catherine postpones public duties with a live text feed, Prince William postpones public duties, a BBC exclusive, What is pegging? An explainer by Ros Atkins.
No, we don't need
Prince
that.
Edward postpones public duties with live updates. Who is Prince Edward? An explainer by Ros Atkins. Prince Harry flies somewhere for a bit with a flight tracker and updates on Meghan's clothing, why she's a total bitch. Prince Andrew not given any public duties, another BBC exclusive. What does sweaty nonce mean? An explainer by Ros Atkins. But further investigations show that not a single article about the royal family appears on the BBC's sports, business or science pages. There are those, of course, who have said that media outlets such as Broken News should be far more concerned with the conflicts taking place in Russia and the Middle East. And yes,
sorry, Gooch, to interrupt. We are, though, just hearing that there is more reaction to whatever royal story it is that we're talking about. This is a live feed of Buckingham Palace. That's happening now, Gooch. What can you tell us?
Well, thank you. This is clearly a serious development, as we understand that the brother of the uncle, of the auntie, of the friend, of the mother, of the woman who once sat opposite Prince William at a restaurant in the ski resort in France in 1990 has released a statement saying that he thinks Meghan is a total bitch. So there is the palace where the king isn't at the moment. Buckingham Palace famously has lots of doors, remarkable really. In addition to the doors, there are of course windows.
Yes, Gooch, what can you tell us about the windows?
Windows are famously transparent, some of them big, some of them small, some of them average sized. The King, famously known to be a big fan of windows, enjoys how transparent they are. Famously transparent, of course, windows. Not known whether King Charles prefers an open window or a closed window, or whether he likes windows to be ajar. King, of course, in his long life will have looked through many windows in all sorts of countries. Afghanistan, Belgium, Canada. Not known, however, whether the King has ever looked through a window in Papua New Guinea or Tasmania. Buckingham Palace, of course, built from stone, which is a measurement of weight as well as being a material. King, of course, a very good weight, very royal weight. Big fingers. We'll bring you more as we get it, but for now, back to you.
Thank you. What a lovely story. We'll have more on that story and none of the day's other stories later. But for now, that's all from Broken News. You're up to date.
Larry and Paul there. Oh my god, that dragged on. That really dragged on. But that last picture, it's all her fault. Man, I don't. It does remind me a bit. To be fair, guys, it does remind me of the during some of the proceedings of things that take place around the world when there's big events and whatnot, and they're just looking for things to talk about, and that's exactly it. I've heard about where they just literally just rumble and just talk about anything, and literally that's just what they were doing. Yeah. But apparently there is a lot of Americans who are obsessed with this stuff, guys. They're absolutely obsessed with it. So, yeah. So, just so you guys know, so obviously, World News Round should premiere tomorrow. I still want to record Plaid Cymru's manifesto. I don't know if I'm gonna do a premiere tomorrow. I may even do a live stream tomorrow at 12 o'clock, maybe. It depends, because I've got. I may just record that tomorrow for you guys. I might do a live stream instead and get that out the way, because I do want to cover that and the SNP manifestos. I want to get them. Need to be done this week if I want to complete the rest of the manifestos. As well. And obviously, if you guys haven't seen already, please go and check out the most important manifesto of all, Count Binface, that I covered on Saturday night. That's a really important manifesto, guys. So I really recommend checking that one out as well. I think that one's really, really important. But apart from that, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come along. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for the 10 gifted memberships. Much appreciated, my friend. I really appreciate your support. Thank you. Thank you, Darren. Sorry, it was Darren. That's it, Darren. Thank you so much for the £5 super chat as well. Greatly appreciate it. I will be, if I'd not, I'll obviously be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Should be with a premiere of World News Round. Obviously, keep your eye out. If you have notifications on, obviously keep your eyes out. If they don't always work, turn them off, turn them back on. I will have a live stream on tomorrow, but not Wednesday at Wednesday 8 p.m. We'll be back with a Snowflake Watch. That'll be very good as well. No after chat on Discord. I'll probably do that on Wednesday night if you guys want to come and hang out on the chat on there. As for plans, just before I go as well, as for plans for the election night, nothing is confirmed at the moment, but originally the idea was myself and potentially Lee Corn doing a show together, like the good old days, potentially. We're still, nothing's confirmed yet. I know a lot of YouTubers obviously are going to be doing live streams as well. So there's a lot of that. I'm not going to be doing an all-nighter. I'm not going to do an all-nighter, guys. I'm not going to do that. I am going to do a live stream the next day of the election, like 7 o'clock in the morning, a very early morning live stream as well, because I want to see what's going on and everything. I'm not going to stay up all night. It's not worth it for me. But yeah. So I'll see. Nothing's concrete that week. But you know, just check the schedule for the live streams, guys. And like I said, the community post on Monday that I drop tells you what's going on. And I'll have a post coming up either tomorrow, probably tomorrow as well, on the content dropping on Rumble and Patreon exclusive. So if you guys want to check them out, you can do. They do not cost anything to. They're completely free to watch as well. So guys, thank you again for all your comments. There is the gang here. I better turn him around before he gets upset. Don't mute. So there's the gang there. And I will get the lava lamp bit fixed at some point, guys. But just before you go, if you can, just do one more favour for me. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.